I've known you for probably what, a year and a half now?
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah. So I think I met you post competition life and traveling around and stuff. But
Sure.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but as a young kid, like I played baseball and basketball and stuff, and you went fly fishing, which is to me was wild. It's but I also didn't grow up anywhere near the mountains or anything like that. Or, I grew up cane pole fishing in Alabama, doing, stuff like that as a kid, which was super fun. I couldn't imagine doing that on the world stage. So, like, you made us pretty cool places. Tell me about that, man.
Yeah, so for sure. First of all, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man.
This is super exciting. Get to sit here and chat with you.
It's just fun, dude.
In a pretty place, no less.
It's beautiful out here, man.
For sure. So yeah, I grew up fishing, like it's in our blood for sure. It's funny enough, I was just at a family reunion and like they're showing like photos from I think when cameras like were kind of out maybe a little bit, and then it's fishing stuff in the house. Like it's definitely in our blood.
That's awesome.
Not so much fly fishing, but what ended up happening was when I was younger is like I ended up kind of, I guess, 13, 14 years old, really into fishing. Didn't want, the barrier of entry to bass fishing, like, you really need a boat or at least access to a boat.
Yeah.
Which, regardless of funds, it's just a pain in the butt.
Mm-hmm.
You got to manage a boat and things like that. And of course you have to have a boat. So that was kind of, didn't really make sense for me. So actually a buddy of mine introduced me into the competitive scene. So he just said, give this guy a call. I said, okay, who's this guy? He says, just call him. So I call him and he said, just say you're interested in the U.S. Youth Fly Fishing Team. So I did, and I call him and I said, I'm interested in the U.S. Youth Fly Fishing Team. He goes, well, on a scale from 1 to 10, how interested are you? I said, I don't really know what that question is because I don't know what it is. I was just told to ask you about it.
Yeah.
So I said like a 6.
Oh.
And he was like, well, maybe we'll like fish a little bit and see how interested you are after that. I don't think you're really, all set up for it. I said, fine, a 10. And I was like, okay.
Is that what you want to hear?
Yeah, I don't know what your question is, but yeah, sure, a 10, right?
Yeah.
And kind of the rest is history. Like I got my first Euro nymping rod, got into that. I spent a lot of time on the water. It was, it's awesome. I had parents that were supportive of that and were willing to basically drive me around the country and go fish on weekends.
I was gonna say, there's kids with travel ball and then there's kids with travel fish.
Right.
That's wild to me.
It's insane. That's pretty crazy. Right? Absolutely.
So you just called this guy and you were just like, I'm interested. And he said, come fish. And what did you have all the gear already? And like I guess you had been fishing.
I really didn't, to be honest. So he's like, get this gear and show up.
Wow.
It's like, okay, we'll get this gear and we'll show up. Because, when you're talking about
that, any of you youth out there,
right?
If you're interested, you just call a guy. You tell him 10. You're on a level 10 and you're ready.
And
to
you're
go.
in. You're done. Exactly, right? So I got into it through that, and I just really took it in stride. Like I said, I really like to fish. Didn't really have a passion for much outside of that, and this competitive stuff really seemed fun. It was a good group of guys.
So was it like a sign up process where you go and like sign papers, or was it just show up, hang with us, and enter yourself in these competitions? Or is it kind of like you get affiliated with them through like a program or something?
Yeah, so this guy I was told to call is a coach of the U.S. youth team.
Oh, he's a coach.
Yeah,
okay.
right.
Okay.
So, and he also runs a guide business out of Western North Carolina. So, does both of those things. And we,
helps.
Yeah, right. So I started with that, and then, they have a few clinics every year. They are a little different now than they used to be. It used to be you'd like get together for the weekend and you'd all stay together for 3 days or 2 nights and leave on Sunday. And you'd fish. So you'd, build a lot of team camaraderie and also people off the team, right? Just a bunch of kids that like to fly fish, right?
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's awesome. It's like what we do now, but you're just a kid.
Yeah. And
dude,
our parents were just like, have at it. Go with these coaches that are just a bunch of basically fly fishing guides, and it was a blast,
I mean, yeah, that's really cool, dude.
Super
so
sick.
like, what is the competition? So when you're out there and, you're fishing, I've seen you be like, I've got 6 rods with me, and they're all different setups, and I was just like, that's insane. Like, what is it that makes that competition a competition?
Yeah, so I'd say there's 2 totally different sides to this. There's the local stuff, which we're starting to get closer to the world stage, as far as how we organize those events, and then there's obviously the world stage. So the thing with the local stuff is it's based upon where you are in the country, right? So in Georgia, in North Carolina and Tennessee, we don't really have many lakes that produce good trout fishing.
Mm-hmm.
We've now gotten to a point where people are okay just like basically catching 3 fish, so we're getting better at lakes as a southeastern community. But historically, it's been really river focused in the States.
Okay.
And basically, you'll sign up for these tournaments. It's on flycomps.com is where most of these are posted.
Flycomps.com.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. Right. Pretty easy name to remember. Yeah.
I mean, it's kids. They got to make it pretty easy.
Well, this is for adults. This is for all tournaments.
Yeah. You guys aren't signing yourself up. I get it. There's an adult that needs to be present, which is also really cool. Like just for me doing just like normal recreational sports, what I thought was normal, like basketball and stuff. If I would have had that option as a kid, oh man, I'd have been there.
Right.
I think.
Hopefully.
I mean, my mentality now says, yeah, you would have done it, but back then it was like, I don't know, man, soccer was pretty cool.
Right.
But like, that's really cool that you got to go do that and experience that. So like on the competitions now, they just score it, like, you know, is it like total fish, total inches, stuff like that, and then you get ranked upon that?
Yeah, so the short answer is there is no short answer. It's the most complicated part of the rule book, in all honesty.
I kind of tried to look at it and was like, all right, I'm just going to ask him.
Yeah,
There's
right?
no way.
So to understand how scoring works, you have to understand like the logistics of the event just a little bit.
Yeah.
So when you're going to a tournament, they do an automated draw that decides what venue you're going to fish, and then what beat, which specific piece within that venue, and then what time.
Like the stretch, like what specific stretch of that river?
Yeah, it's like 150 meter minimum. Sometimes they're really long just to make things fair if you have the ability to.
Yeah.
So, you know, at a minimum 150 meter long stretch of river, and your venue is going to be like, say there's 10 people in an event, your venue is going to be 5 of those long, and then you'll be scored against the people fishing the same venue at the same time.
Okay. Oh, so you're not scored against somebody fishing another part of the river that may be more productive or something.
Correct.
Okay.
Or for
that
example,
always seemed like crazy to me. It's like, what if you just got a terrible draw and you're like,
this venue sucks and that venue.
I'm in 3 inches of water the whole way. Like,
so that happens too sometimes. Like some people that put on events maybe put them in places they shouldn't happen. It's like, well, if there's a bunch of great holes, that gives you room to put 4 of the 5 beats, and then you have the 5th beat is 2 inches deep the whole way. It's like, well, that's not great. Whoever gets whatever beat number that is just sad.
That would be me.
Right?
I don't like this anymore.
Yeah, right? Well, what's good about it, like, you know, they do their best, right?
Yeah.
So you're scored at least against the people in that venue, because at a world championship, it'll be upwards of a 5-day event.
Oh, wow.
And so, for example, if it floods day 3, at least you're not scored against the guy in that venue 2 days ago who had great conditions when it put up 50 fish, and now it's going to put up 2.
2, yeah.
Right?
Gotcha.
So you have that going for you. So anyways, you're immediately scored against that, and you're given a placing point number. So if I win my session, I take a 1, and then 2 and 3 and so on. And then if we tie in that, it goes to fish points.
Okay.
And fish points it's 100 points per fish and 20 points per centimeter.
Wow.
So that's how they do it. Generally, that ends up being just however many fish you catch, because generally throughout one venue,
the math is going to math.
Right,
yeah,
they're about the same. Now, if you get lucky, say it's a 4-fish session, well, sure, size matters, and so a lot of that's luck. In those low-number sessions, you just got to hope you get a better one.
Yeah.
Or other venues where the size minimum is maybe 20 centimeters, which is, you know, this long. Some places, a lot of the fish are this long. You know, an inch.
Count.
And they don't count, right? Or you'll have a lot that are, like the lower Nantahala is so bad about this. You'll have a bunch of 18-centimeter fish, but the minimum's 20. And so you just got to hope that one finally squeezes and fits, right? And so, yeah, some of that's luck too, right?
You got to imagine, like, everybody else that's fishing that beat with you is catching those same 18
that
inch.
sector, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Those 18-centimeter ones, absolutely. And there's there's strategy in a lot of these venues to where you can weed out the little ones.
Yeah.
So you can be like, okay, like how can I, when you're pre-fishing, that's one of those things you'll look for.
So you get a practice session too, kind of like.
Not in the beat water.
Okay.
So they give you practice sectors, or they'll just say, in the World Championship, they give you specific practice places. At the local stuff and in the country, we'll do where it's just basically the beats are closed. You can fish anywhere other than the actual competition water.
Okay.
And they'll close the competition water anywhere from a week to a month out.
Cool.
Yeah.
Dude, that's cool. So you made it pretty far. Like I think for me, that's super impressive. So you made it top 15 individual in the world, and you made a top 5 finish with your team, so as the team competition. So that works that way too. So it's an individual score and a team score when you're with the Team USA.
They just add up placing points
Okay.
for your team. So
Dude, that's impressive, man.
well, thank you.
Because I've fished next to you, and it's humbling. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're fish at my house. Like, we've gone to fish at my house where I'm like, this is my water. I know where the fish are. And I cast next to you, and I look, and I was just like, well, I'm not casting next to you anymore because I'm terrible.
Well, you know.
And, like, honestly, like, this is what this is all about with me, is talking to people and learning. And, like, you know, people that are clearly better than me. Because, you know, I've been doing this for 6 years now. I mean, I've been fishing my whole life. But, like, 6 years semi-professionally, 100% recreationally.
Yeah, right.
But like, for me to come at any of this from a point of like I know what I'm doing would just be foolish. So for me to like sit down with folks like you who I know are clearly like very good at casting and catching trout and fly fishing in general, that's kind of the way I want to approach this whole series and this whole podcast thing that we're about to start doing is I want to learn from the best people out there and people that, you know, finish top 5 in worlds, not just in the United States, but like you went to where was your world competition
So
at?
in 2021, it was in Italy,
And
it was super cool.
So you're catching those just fired up browns with those big orange spots?
So yes and no. So what usually happens, especially for youth world championships, is we just get like the worst sectors in the country. They're like, we don't want to give you the good competition water because we want to leave that for the men. And also we don't, even if it's the next year.
I don't like that.
Right? Now, granted, they'll stock for us a little more maybe or something like that, but it's not the cool sectors. And so you end up practicing a lot of the waters like that are similar to your sectors, right? Which makes sense, which are kind of crappy. However, that year we were really fortunate. We had a really dedicated group of parents for the youth team and really dedicated group of coaches where we actually got to spend a month over there.
That's crazy.
Which was sick.
In Italy?
It was so in like the middle of nowhere. Like I like know quite a few people who spent a lot of time in Italy. Mm-hmm. I tell them like even the province we're in, or I think it's the term they use over there, province or something like that. Yeah. Anyways, the state, right? And they're like, I don't know where that is. I'm like, I know. Like that's by design. It's sick. Yeah. You should go. It's like it's in the middle of the Dolomites and it's like gorgeous. But
yeah, so you're far north Italy, right?
Yeah, like one of the days we did like a further drive to go fun fish, and it was about 2 hours, and we were like looking at Switzerland.
That's crazy.
Like we were, yeah.
That's got to be something like just you'll probably never forget that your whole life. And
yeah,
like,
I sure
to
hope
do it for Team USA that's crazy. That's super awesome.
You know, and we had a great team too. So like not from the angling perspective necessarily. We obviously did well there too, but just from like a team camaraderie standpoint. I mean, we really we're a group of really good friends.
And you still talk to all these guys, right? You still hang out. Like,
yeah,
absolutely. I've seen a few of them here.
Yeah.
You know, for some of the river days and stuff you do out here. I've seen a few of them. They're kind of in your group of the modern fly fisher.
Absolutely.
Like that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, with that, tell me like what you got going on here. This place is gorgeous, and we're on the Soque River.
Yep.
I say that right? I've heard it 70 times. I don't know how to say
right.
it. But you've got a beautiful stretch, man. Talk about what you got going on here.
Yeah, so right here we're trying to do a pile of things. So one of the things obviously is a guide service and an outfitter, and with that, so we manage the property here. With that guide service and outfitter, really our goal is to convey to new anglers what we think this sport's about and really how important it is to us. And not so there's two sides. That one is that we try and think that it is a sport, and we really do. There's people who want to be competitive and or like being good at really good at a craft, and we like to introduce people to that. We also really appreciate how good of a job it does allowing people to slow down and take a breath. Like there's a lot of stuff going on in this world. It's a busy rambunctious world these days, and it's nice to be able to just unplug for a pile of hours and just work on casting a fly rod.
Exactly. Right? That's why I do. It's Zen. It's a meditation thing. It's there's no cell phones ringing. There's no nothing. It's just you and a guide and the fish, and it's all up to you. So that's really cool. So out here it's just, I mean, it's massive property, and I think you're kind of like the furthest upstream spot as well, right? So you're able to like do some really cool stuff with fish out here.
Yeah, absolutely. So we do. I mean, one thing that's really cool about the property here on the Soque is that it does give us the ability to manage the fishery how we'd like to.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, we have some really, really, really big fish. So to break that zen a little bit.
You don't say.
Right? We'll spend, and this is what I really love about the private water is I'll spend the first while with clients, especially in the winter months when the sun's not really over the hill yet and they can't see what they're fishing to.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, we're working on this, especially if they're a beginner, we're working on technique. All of a sudden they nail it and one eats it, and they have no clue what they're in for. They set the hook, and all of a sudden there's like a 24-inch fish just like porpoising up the river, right?
North Georgia tuna.
That's awesome.
They're huge.
And they're like, oh, that's why you like showed us how to fight fish in the grass, things like that, like before we even hit the water. And then you see people's jaws like drop.
Yeah.
And
so I've been to a few private waters around the state. I've guided at a few, and I noticed the difference. There's some people that are just straight timed feeders everywhere, and they've got a gang of fish, and it's fun. It's it's like a rodeo. But then I come up here and there's none of that here. It feels like it's kind of like the way you're managing it seems a little different.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that you've noticed that.
Yeah.
I really do, try my best to accomplish that. So one of my biggest pet peeves is when I come down here before I feed and the fish know the feed's coming. And sometimes late season that happens. There's nothing like May 31st, which is when I close, like, okay, the last 2 or 3 trips at 5 or 6 o'clock, they get a little annoying and sit by the bank.
It's towards the end of that spring where it's starting to get too warm, where these fish they're used to it because there's a lot of, not a lot because you guys manage that well. You guys also manage that well, but there is enough traffic where they're starting to like learn that, daddy's coming.
Right. So
knock it off, trout.
Right, exactly.
Knock it off.
So I try and like mitigate that, and hopefully this season I do a little better with changing up my feed times a little more and a little more consistency on other parts. But I mean, part of it is a fun experiment for me, right? I get to play around with it, and I have a lot of leeway because fortunately my neighbors also a lot of them do a very good job of management as well.
Yeah.
So part of what allows these fish to not really behave like pets is hand feeding them.
Yeah.
And then also through the summer months, really being careful about not overfeeding them. So that way they're still there. So believe it or not, in August, we like had a miracle this year and our temps were good end of August and are good right now in September. And I got out and fished the other morning and it's like, you still see a lot of big fish. They're still there. The water's low and super clear.
Yeah.
So they're spooky like they should be anywhere.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
Right. And they're behaving right. Now, when we go to stock this fall, they'll get a little dumber. They'll forget that they're, smart fish for a little bit.
Do you think that's because they're like, oh, crap, we got to outcompete all these new guys?
That's my guess, but I mean, I really don't know. Like, it's weird because sometimes, like, you put them in and, like, sometimes just these fish that weren't even there when you fed, like, just appear. You're like, where did you even come from? What bank were you hiding
telling
under?
New guys, like, hey, just hang out here. We'll be cool. We're good.
Right?
We're good. You might get caught every once in a while, but they'll let you go.
Yeah, right. Shoot, I saw one last year after we just stocked. We stocked, like, some 12-inch fish. I saw one get T-boned by a big rainbow while I was down there doing some like
dolphin orca style.
Yeah, like straight up just T-boned by a big old buck rainbow. I was like, it's like, okay, hold on, I'll be back.
It's like Wild River out there. National Geographic. That's crazy, man.
Right?
We got to get some of that stuff on film.
Absolutely.
So also, I noticed there's some like flags and stuff out here in the property in all different colors. Like, you had talked about some kind of conservancy stuff. Like, what's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things that I believe in, also with my fisheries management. So I'll get to your question, but we'll kind of tie in the fisheries management. So one of the things that you have a problem with when you have these like time feeders and an overabundance of stocking and an overabundance of food is that kind of the thought of what happens when I leave. So if you go way too far, the whole ecosystem will crash out. right?
Yeah.
Everything down to the bugs kind of will depend on that. If you feed too much and you stock too much and things like that.
Even the bugs will depend on that food.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's crazy.
Well, I mean, you got to think about it. Just added nutrient.
That's true. It's just
right?
protein, and it's what they're filtering.
It goes through everything.
Cool.
It all trickles down. And don't get me wrong, I do put an extra load on the ecosystem, but I really try and manage that. So with that being said, what these stakes are here for is we're working on a wetland mitigation project, or wetland restoration / mitigation project with the Corps, as well as moving these two. You can kind of see this ditch in the background here.
It kind of runs right through the center of the field.
I'm not a stream engineer, but I'm about 100% sure that streams don't naturally go in a straight line through a field.
Yeah, no.
So we actually took some LiDAR photos, and that's part of what the staking is for too, to see where the actual natural stream bed used to go for that one, but also there's one behind the cameras, and we believe actually they should meet somewhere in the middle back there. So before they go into the river. So
cool.
We're working with a consulting firm to help us out with that. And
very cool.
So the wetland should be conserved forever. It'll be in an easement in perpetuity, as well as these two tributaries.
That's awesome,
so,
man.
Yeah.
That's really cool, because I don't think I've ever seen anybody do that and basically turn their land into a conservation area while managing a trout fishery. Like, that's really cool. Like, I don't think you can take care of land any more than that, right? I mean,
not that I know about it, unless I didn't use it. Right?
Never put anybody on it or any tires or anything. Yeah,
that's one of the things I believe in firmly too, is that it does. You do have to have a financial incentive behind stuff. I would say, like, outside of the fishing stuff, like as a human being, like, I wouldn't say that I'm like a crazy far right capitalist in that sense, and I wouldn't say that I'm a crazy far left tree hugger either. You need money.
Yeah, it's a for-profit business. You're running a for-profit business, right? And that's fine.
And even for those who are not, when we talk about conservation, it needs to make sense. I heard one of our former DNR, I guess, trout managers. I was talking with him the other day, and he said that he did a presentation called "Darters to Dollars."
Yeah.
And he's totally right. Like, if you're a farmer and you're having erosion problems, to fix those erosion problems, you're saving the darters. You're also not losing your field.
Yeah.
Your farmland's literally going to the Gulf of the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah, we're Upper Chattahoochee Basin. Yeah, Gulf of Mexico. If you don't fix this, right? Yeah. And so that's really what this comes down to, is to hopefully showcase a project that really shows people, like, hey, the dollars do add up, and I get to save, as in his presentation, the darters.
Yeah, there you go. There's a few out here. I love catching those up here, man. That's the fun thing to me, is like, man, if trout aren't biting, you know what it is? Darters, chubs,
dace,
yep. Yeah, sculpin, sunfish.
I caught a couple of really big long ears the other day. I was like, yes,
that's awesome.
But it's good too. Like, it shows again that you're not putting so much of a load on the stream through the summer, that these native fish are still around. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's frustrating for clients sometimes. They're like, oh, what is this bluegill thing? You know,
be like, that's a native fish, and that's really cool.
He belongs here. Yeah. And
he was here before us.
If you ask me, he counts more than the trout.
Yeah.
Absolutely. As much as we need the trout to get people in, and don't get me wrong, I love catching the trout.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that they coexist,
but if I'm catching a little fired up, parred up rainbow this big on a stream, that it was, God put that thing there. Like, and for me to catch that, I get more fired up about that than I do a big trout that's been sitting there fed. And like, there's don't get me wrong, they're a blast to catch.
Sure.
But catching something that is just purely wild is so much fun.
And one thing that's cool here too, that you brought up a great point with the little stream-born fish. So we do feed them. However, we do have a bunch of the little tiny stream-born fish.
That's great.
And some of the really big stream-born fish.
Well, I think this river, this river is gonna have those. It's a big river.
It's so
not big, but it's like, it's long. Like, this thing goes for,
I think it's like 45 miles or something.
Like a lot of this area in North Georgia is covered by the Soque River, and it's like they're bound to be in there. And that's really cool that they kind of have almost like a safe haven up here with, they're being taken care of in a place so they can grow, and other fish are kind of hanging around them and stuff, and they kind of they can blend in and not get smacked by herons and all that.
The herons do their damage for sure, but again, they were here before us, right? If I'm going to stock trout, like, some herons are going to eat a few.
Yep. That's just nature, man.
That's how she goes, you know.
That's the way she
the give
goes.
take, right? If I put twice as many fish than should be there, then okay, I should probably have twice as many herons, right? So yeah, that's really how we try and manage the property.
Nice.
Is towards that.
So, before we get out of here, I wanted to ask you, like, I've seen you at a few events around town, tying flies, and how much does that factor into what you're doing here and with your competition stuff? Like, because I've seen you tie flies, and I tie flies as well. I am not great at it. I'm decent enough; it will catch fish. But watching you guys, out at Alfred Outfitters and stuff like that, and just Bugs and Suds night, and just around town at different fly tying nights, I see what you guys are tying, and it's like, how important is that to the success in your fishing?
So I guess the short answer is that your flies looking pretty is not super important. Functionality is, right?
Yeah.
So, if I was like 30% smarter, I'd have a good analogy for you, but I'm not. So
If
I don't.
we were only all 30% smarter.
Right. So really, it's about like just consistency. My bugs, frankly, aren't the best. I've just tied a lot of them, and so I know what they should look like, kind of,
and you know what works.
Right, and that's all for them. Not all, but a lot of the time, it's down to confidence and sink rate.
Yep.
Confidence, sink rate, color, and there's a few pile of different thought processes on it. And I hear like small, medium, large, light, bright, dark is a good way to think about it too.
Yeah.
And that's through all. That's more general. That's for all fish, right? Like if we think small, medium, large, light, bright, dark, we can now fish tarpon to bluegill.
That's true.
Right.
Yeah. It's just a different shape and color. Yeah.
Right.
Light, bright, dark.
Small, medium,
shape,
large, light,
color.
bright, dark.
Yep.
Right. So one of the coaches out in Montana gave us that for lakes. He was like, "That's how you should think about your lake program. You have 3 fly. A lot of times you're fishing 3 flies, so you can switch, pretty readily, and you
3 fly rods, right?
No, 3 flies at a time.
Okay,
on a rig.
okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, and
Triple dropping.
Yeah, right. Just
Crazy.
try not to make it tangle,
Yeah.
because then you're just sad. You're donating a lot of tippet to the bottom of your boat.
Yes, you are.
Right.
Man.
So,
I've always said you gotta earn that third. You gotta earn that third dropper.
Yeah, right.
Because
Gotta
I'm not
earn
gonna
that first dropper.
I'm not gonna tie it on if you're just gonna be in the bushes.
Right, absolutely. Or just just rushing your back cast, and you go to make a forward cast, and before they even go forward, you're like, oh no.
Yeah, you're like, oh,
that's
I heard
a mess.
it. You're like, I heard it back there, and you're coming forward. You're like, now we're gonna need to pull that in. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
But that's really cool, man. So you're definitely and with those 3, you're trying to fill 3 columns of the water, right?
Not
like
usually with the lake stuff. So the lake stuff, you're fishing a lot of sinking lines.
Oh, on the lake. Okay,
yeah. So that's what I was saying. That's where I first heard the small, medium, large, light, bright, dark, because his thought is like, well, I could put a size 16 bugger that's bright on the point. I could put a flasher, so I guess like a Crelex type fly. I could put like a thin mint that's like a size 12 in the middle, and then I could put like some big like blob on the top, like a size 6 bright blob, right? You can cover, when you don't know anything, you can cover the whole fly spectrum in a 3 fly rig almost, right? So if you're just blind, if you're blind fishing and trying to like gain data, like it's a good point. But I kind of try to use that with all my fly tying, right? It's like, okay, unless I'm getting super hatch matchy, right? When there's bugs around, we want it to look like the bug.
Yeah, we're turning rocks. We're looking at our box and seeing what we got.
When we say, hey, look, I'm going to go fish a blue-winged olive hatch, or at least need to be prepared to. It's like, I need to tie a dun, a spinner, and...
I'm not going to throw chubby Chernobyls out there.
Probably not the way to do it. Like, you get lucky, a blind squirrel finds a nut.
A dumb trout eats anything sometimes, right?
Yeah, right?
No, that's cool, man. That's really cool. So you... Like a lot of times with like competitions, you'll show up with like 6 rods, right? And is that just for like speed of changing out, so you're not wasting time retying and stuff, or?
So no, we usually don't show up with that many rods. So lakes are different. So
I'm probably exaggerating a little bit because I'm an idiot.
Yes and no. It's like on bank sessions, it's like you bring as many things as you can because you're allowed to, and you're on a lake bank.
Yeah.
So it's like really controlled. You can just set them down right next to you. Your beat in a lake will be like 10 feet wide.
Yeah. Okay.
So like, you can, it's not a big hassle to get your equipment.
Yeah,
so
gotcha.
lakes on banks, you really will stock up. On boats, you can only have 1 rod set up. So.
Oh wow. Okay.
you get one. You know, you can have another one with you that's not set up in case it breaks, or you can have 100 with you. It doesn't, but like you only get one.
Only get one. Okay.
And then on river sessions, usually I'll bring 2 or 3. But like for example, at a world championship, I'll take my travel bag, and I'll do this for some of our bigger events here. Is I'll take my like Orvis like travel bag, like whatever you use to pack to go wherever, and I'll leave all of my rods in there, like everything, and I'll have it set up 2 maybe, but at least it's on the bank where I'm like, okay, well if I need it, I grab it, and it's there. Or if, you know, I've seen some crazy stuff happen. One of the youth kids at Worlds this past year, he was going to, or like just now in Idaho, he was going to put his rod together and he's going to put his reel on, and the reel seat just came unglued and his reel blew into the river and his reel seat just floated away.
No.
So it's like, well, good thing I have 3 more in my bag on the bank, right? Like, and that's
I guess on the river, you're in the river, so you can't really like hold all the. You can't just set those rods down behind you,
right?
You're
you can leave
in the river. You can leave them on the bank, but then you're
or,
having to take that time to get out.
So if I can carry a second rod with me pretty okay. I need to be better at doing that. But some people without like any problem, like when they just go fish, they have 2 rods on them. One for nymph, one for like dry dropper with a floating line.
And you're like Euro nymphing,
and then one with a floating line.
You're gonna have to teach me how to do that one day. It's the cider, man. I can't see it.
Oh, you gotta get you some brighter cider or some better eyes.
Yeah. Well, these are 42, and I think they're about as bright as they're gonna get.
Uh-oh.
No. I feel like that is honestly probably a superior way to fish, especially in this part of the country. It's the Euro stuff. It's just, it works so well. And like, I'm a big, hopper dropper guy. It's just, I don't know, I'm kind of stubborn, but I do it because I can see it. I can see the indicator. I can see my fly up there, and I like trying to figure out like, what's emerging behind that and stuff. And I try and match that way, and I find some success. But I feel like you guys, like I've been out on the hooch, below the dam, and been fishing and not catch anything, and turn around and watching dudes just raking trout in.
30,
and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I'm not, and that's because I'm not on the bottom dragging big heavy beads.
Yeah, I mean, it is quite a bit more nuanced than that, I would say. Like
I'm sure.
Lot of, like
I don't know.
so like there's this like stigma, right? Like most people, I don't know if it's stigma. Some people would say it's stigma. Some people just don't know, right? About like the Euro stuff just being like you just said, dragging big heavy beads on the bottom.
Yeah.
So
I've seen the memes.
Yeah, right.
It's nasty.
A 25-foot one weight, one piece. Yeah, right. It catches all the fish for you. Yeah, right. So no, I like when you look at the competitive level anglers, it's really, it is really nuanced. So we're honestly, Chattahoochee is a great example. Mm-hmm. A lot of times the weight forward line is the way to go there, especially when the water's not turned over and it's clear.
Yeah.
Like, because you can't get 15 feet away from the fish. They're gone at that point.
Yeah.
So a weight forward line is the way to go. It's really just about how you manage all of that. Like the competitive guys in the States have finally realized it's important to throw a dry fly in the past, like probably 3 years or 4 years.
I love dry flies.
Pre-COVID, it was just like nymph. Now we're getting really, really good at dry fly fishing. Some of the European countries like the Spanish and the French are just unbelievably good at technical light dry fly fishing.
Just laying that thing just perfect, right? Yeah.
Every time, right?
That's awesome.
And our team's getting there on the men's stage, but not quite there yet. But back to the sight thing too. My biggest piece of like technical advice I would give would be like, if you can't see it, it's probably because you're not casting where it's supposed to go. It's probably your casting.
Yeah.
Because if you look where your fly is supposed to go, even if your eyes aren't great, and it lands exactly where it's supposed to go, your eyes are going to see it, and
you're going to catch it.
Well,
for me, it's more of like where you're like, oh, did you see it drop down? And I'm like, nah, bro. It looks like red and yellow going across.
Yeah. So bite detection's hard too. So like it's again, that's really nuanced because a fish eat can look like a million things. I mean, if you've seen any like Jensen fly fishing stuff, right? You'll see like these fish will do a full, and now you can see them where they're filming and it's generally dries, but a fish will do a full 360 and eat behind it. So if I'm nymphing and I can't see the fish, how do I detect that?
Yeah.
Well, really what it is my sighter is probably going to speed up.
Yeah, because it's running with you.
Or it won't do anything except for it'll throw slack in there. But how do you detect slack?
Because
right?
it's actually pulling off the bottom, so you're not actually grabbing anything anymore. So that's where it speeds up.
Right.
Okay.
Or it'll just that sort of subtle stuff, right? It's like you have to watch your sighter.
I've seen my dry dropper just kind of pause for a second.
That'll be him,
and that's him.
Yeah.
It doesn't go down, and sometimes it shoots and it's gone the other way.
Sure.
But sometimes it's just the most subtle stop, and then it's.
Or sometimes it'll just spin, and you'll be like, "Oh, that was one."
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's my favorite one when people are like, when we're dry dropping,
I didn't feel it,
and it spins like their dry fly does a full 360, and I'm like, "That was him." They're like, and I'll usually tell people ahead of time, like, if it does anything and I even start with that. I'll be like, if it spins, set the hook.
A guide once told me, he said, he or she who sets the most catches the most.
Yeah.
Rock, whatever. Who cares?
Set it.
Yeah. Even if it's on a rock, still looks cool. You're like,
got him.
Looks cool for about 2 seconds, and then
right?
you're like, hope nobody saw that.
Yeah, right. No, I listen. Like, there's two things that will up the two things you have to do to catch the most fish: have your flies in the water the most, and try and hook them the most.
Yep.
Right. So set the hook and just keep your flies in the river.
Yep. And I always say, slow is fast and fast is slow. Because if you're trying to be really fast, you're in the bushes, you're tangled, you're everything. You're fishing slow.
You're not.
But if you're going slow, you're in the water. Like you said, those flies are in the water more, and you are going to catch more fish.
Absolutely.
It's a numbers game at that point.
And then practicing knots too. Like, people are like, "Oh, well, that's only for the competition guys." It's like, well, not really. If you go and buy like some 2-pound line at Walmart while you're watching TV and doing nothing else,
practice knots.
You'll feel so much better when you hit the water. This is my least favorite thing to see. When I see people go like this, stick in a tree, and they're like, because they know they have to retie it, right? They look back there and they know they're gonna have to retie it, and that's gonna take them 15 minutes.
Yep.
And if I get to fish once a month, and I'm gonna spend 15 minutes retying, my day could be like, in my head, I'm like, oh man, that's like half. Oh my god.
If I go out and lose one fly, I'm the happiest dude in the world. One fly, no fish, I'm still happy.
Right.
I feel like technique was at play that day.
For sure. And then, but back to the practicing your knots, you break it off and you're like, oh, whatever. It takes me 2 minutes to retie a rig.
Yeah.
And and that cost me what? $3 at Walmart, and I'm still watching TV, right? Like, it didn't even cost you your time, right? Yeah. So
some good tips there, guys. Practice your knots at home, watching Family Feud or whatever.
Jeopardy, man.
Jeopardy.
Gotta get on that Jeopardy.
Well, dude, thanks for talking with us, man. I think we're gonna see you very soon. I think we're gonna be back up this way. I know we got some stuff to get on to this week, so I don't think we're going to be able to hang out and fish today, but we are definitely going to be back.
For sure.
And we want to see, what it's going to look like when you're stocked and ready for this season of guiding trout, man. It's been a pleasure, Lewis.
Yeah, likewise.
Dude.
Thank you.
And we, I hope that the continued success of the property and the river and everything you're doing with the conservancy, I hope all that goes well, man, just because, like, this is a beautiful place. Like, I live very close to here as well, so hearing that in, kind of my backyard is a lot of fun and is really is rewarding to know that there are guys like you out here and groups of anglers that really care about the land, not just making a buck. So it's really cool, man.
Well, and I appreciate you, obviously being minded towards that, because you're willing to sit here and promote that, and it means a lot on our end too. Absolutely. So thank you.
All right, we'll catch you guys on the next one.